In the 1930s, miners working pyrophyllite deposits near Ottosdal, South Africa, began pulling something out of the rock that should not have been there. Small, metallic spheres. Some barely half a centimetre across, others the size of a cricket ball. Many were almost perfectly round, and many bore something that stopped the miners cold. Crisp, parallel grooves running around the equator of each sphere like the seam on a manufactured ball. The rock encasing these objects was 3 billion years old. 3 billion. That is not a rounding error. That is Precambrian rock, formed before multicellular life existed on this planet, before oxygen filled the atmosphere, before the first organism with a nucleus appeared in the fossil record. And embedded inside it were smooth, grooved metallic spheres that looked for all the world as though someone had made them. Here is the question. If the rock is 3 billion years old and the spheres are inside the rock, then whatever put them there was present on this planet, before anything we would recognize as life had even begun. The objects became known as the Klerksdorp Spheres, named after the nearest town in what is now the northwest province of South Africa. Pyrophyllite is a soft aluminium silicate used in industrial ceramics. It forms in sedimentary deposits over immense geological time. The miners were cutting through these ancient formations when they began encountering the spheres in situ, not scattered on the surface, not dropped into crevices, but fully encased within the rock itself. The spheres ranged from roughly half a centimetre to 10 centimetres in diameter. Some were nearly perfect spheres, others were slightly compressed into disc or oblate shapes. Their surfaces varied, some smooth and metallic, others marked by those striking equatorial grooves. Parallel ridges so regular and evenly spaced, they appeared incised rather than formed by any natural process. The miners collected them, local museums acquired them, and for decades the spheres sat in display cases as geological curiosities, objects that generated more questions than answers. Geologists who studied the spheres offered a detailed natural explanation. The objects are composed primarily of hematite, iron oxide, sometimes mixed with wollastonite or pyrite. Their internal structure reveals radial growth patterns expanding outward from a central point, consistent with mineral concretion, a process where dissolved minerals precipitate around a nucleus over millions of years inside sedimentary rock. The equatorial grooves, according to this model, formed as layers of fine sediment compressed around the growing concretion during its formation in an ancient lake bed. Metamorphic foliation, pressure from surrounding rock, creating planar features in the mineral structure, produced the parallel ridges as the formation compacted over geological time. This is a documented geological phenomenon. Spherical concretions have been found in Precambrian formations worldwide. The Klerksdorp spheres are not unique in their existence, they are unique in their precision. And for a significant number of observers, the geological explanation, however technically sound, does not account for what they see with their own eyes. Not all the spheres show the expected variation of natural concretion. Some display a degree of sphericity and surface regularity that appears to exceed what random geological processes reliably produce. The equatorial grooves on certain specimens are not rough, irregular furrows consistent with uneven compaction. They are sharp, parallel, evenly spaced. They look machined. Paul Heinrich, a geologist who published a detailed analysis of the Ottosdal objects, examined the claim that the spheres were perfectly balanced and demonstrated that most are not true spheres. They range from slightly oblate to markedly disc-shaped. His explanation is geologically sound, but his own photographs show specimens where the grooves are remarkably uniform, and no amount of geological terminology has been able to override what people see when they hold one in their hands. The gap between the scientific explanation and what the spheres appear to be is where the controversy lives, and it has never closed. At some point, a story began circulating that someone brought one of the Klerksdorp Spheres to NASA for analysis. According to this account, NASA engineers declared the sphere's balance too perfect to be naturally formed, that it could only have been manufactured in zero-gravity conditions, that it was, in effect, an impossible object. This story has been repeated in documentaries, articles and videos for decades. No NASA report exists, no official statement, no named researcher, no documentation of any kind. But the story persists because it gives narrative form to a genuine problem. The spheres look manufactured. The natural explanation, while scientifically supported, struggles to satisfy the visual evidence that people find so compelling. The Klerksdorp Museum's own curator, Roelf Marx, was quoted in multiple sources, describing them as objects that appeared to have been made by hands, informal comments never published. But they reflect the persistent intuition that something about these objects exceeds what geology alone can comfortably explain. The Klerksdorp Spheres present a more unsettling possibility than either the mainstream or alternative accounts typically acknowledge. If they are natural, and the geological evidence strongly suggests they are, then the process that formed them produced objects of such apparent precision that trained geologists have had to publish peer-reviewed papers explaining why they are not manufactured. That is a remarkable statement about the natural world. It means that over 3 billion years, under conditions no human was present to observe, geological processes generated objects that fool the human eye into perceiving intentional design. But if even one of them is not natural, if even one specimen exceeds the tolerances that concretion and metamorphic foliation can produce, then the implications are not simply unusual, they are incompatible with the entire established timeline of life and intelligence on this planet. The spheres do not need to be alien. They do not need to be evidence of a lost civilization. They need only be what they appear to be, objects embedded in 3 billion-year-old rock, whose precision the current natural explanation does not fully account for. That single gap between what geology can explain and what the spheres appear to be is enough. The Klerksdorp Spheres are not a hoax. They are not a forgery. They are real objects sitting in museum collections right now, available for anyone to examine. They are still asking the same question they asked the day the first miner cracked open that pyrophyllite and found something inside that looked like it had been made by hands that did not yet exist. The answer may be geological, but the question is permanent. Subscribe, because the deeper you dig, the less the ground behaves like it should.